Hi everyone. So this is 1st June 2022. We are at the KPNG APAC meeting. All right. So just a reminder that this is under this CNCF Code of Conduct, which is just that be excellent to everyone. All right. Cool. So I think Sanskar and Victor, y'all are like first time attendees. So would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah,
Sure.
Just
go
here
ahead,
to learn.
please. I recently started contributing to Kubernetes, and I was thinking how I could start contributing to SIG network more. And I came across the KPNG project and like Kube-Proxy in general, and I thought that this could be a good place, like something interesting for me to begin with.
Awesome. Welcome. And Victor?
Yeah, I'm same way. I'm just learning, and I've been learning a lot about overall system stuff, networking, and all that. I try to. I'm really interested in CF stuff, so just trying to learn.
Cool. Welcome. All right. So just before I hit the record button, Shane asked me about how he can pick up some good first issues or bite-sized issues in KPNG. So there are like a bunch of good first issues over here, like something like this, which you can pick up, which is for like adding make targets for gRPC compilation and stuff like that. So this will basically give you an idea on all the gRPC bits for KPNG, and then I think there's a ton of context in this description as well. Apart from this, I can point you to something else as well, but what are you looking for, Shane?
I'm looking for little, so I'm kind of super busy, but I have such a high interest in working on KPNG that I'd like to just poke at some like basically bite-sized things, like things that are something that I could do in an afternoon just to get myself started, get my feet wet.
All right. So there are things like adding unit tests, which would also, I'm not sure if that can be done in the afternoon, but it would definitely give you some idea around how that backend is written and walk you through the code base for sure. And then you can cover that code base in unit tests, like, things like IPVS, IP tables. So we would like really.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to add a couple unit tests. That sounds like a great place to start. I probably could have just gone in the repo and looked around, but I figured since I was here, I would just ask what you thought.
All right. So some of the main areas where we need help are like the KEP. So we want to make progress on the KEP aspect. So there are a couple of us working on revamping the KEP with Mikhail and Jay. So that is one area. The other area is, so if you go to KPNG backends, there are a ton of backends over here, right? And most of these backends are running in the CI, and not all conformance tests are passing. So our second area is to make sure that all of the backends pass the Kubernetes conformance test. So you would find a ton of issues which have things like this, right? Which have context on which test fails and things like that. And, there are quite a few issues over here for IPv4, IP tables, and, stuff like that. So this is another area wherein we want to have some robust unit tests and also make sure that the backends pass conformance tests. Apart from this, there were a couple of things added, like, SCTP support and, other things like revamp, like NFT backend comes with a different type of an approach, and maybe the other backends can use that approach. But that's like optimization and stuff like that. But KEP and making sure the test pass is like they're like the highest priority right now. So if you can provide some help around that, that'd be like super cool.
Okay. I don't know yet. I definitely think starting with a couple unit tests is a good starting place since I haven't contributed to this repo yet. So.
Awesome. So I'll probably CC you on all of these issues. Can you help me with your GitHub username?
It's just Shane all one word.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. Apart from this, the other update that I have is we were finally able to merge the user space backend, user space Linux backend PR in Cupping, and I've not
Saw
added
that.
it in.
Congrats.
Yay! So I've not added it in CI as of now, but it's working. It does work. So there's a follow-up PR required to edit in CI, and maybe so it's only the support is added only for IPv4 and not for IPv6. And what else? There may be some conformance tests failing, so I have to create an issue with which all conformance tests are failing and all of that stuff. So this is sort of like a toy backend that we can use to try out different things. So there's probably another way. So I think this issue has that covered, wherein added in CI. The other thing is maybe we want to rewrite it using the diff store implementation. So this diff store implementation is how NFT backend is written, which is slightly different from how backends are written in the original Kube-Proxy. So this is basically like the future of user space as of now, but I'm going to keep it a toy backend for now. Yeah. Cool. All right, so these are the updates that I had. Is there anything else?
Not for me. I mean, I was just here to kind of hang out.
Cool.
Yeah, same. I was just trying to see what all issues I can probably like pick up, or something that I can get started with. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that like what you suggested was I'll try to do some of that, and then hopefully I can get involved more and more.
That'll be awesome. Like we like as of now, not many people are working on KPNG. So if you can help out with these issues and the likes, that'll be great. The other thing is what else? If another area I see is okay, so there are a ton of things around like specifics of these backends like IP tables or IPVS, but I think I don't have much expertise on these backends, so I wouldn't comment. So Hanumant and Vivek have like a lot of context around these backends, so they would be in a better position to talk about that. I can talk about user space backend a bit to give some context. So I found that it was easier to understand backends in cupping or in Kube-Proxy through user space, and then moving to something like IP tables or IPVS. This is just a personal thing, but like if you find it useful as well, like go ahead and try to dig it through. One of the things that I would like to mention is like for any backend, one of the things, the way you can make sense out of that backend is through this sync.go or anything of that equivalent, wherein there'll be like a setup function which would like initialize that backend, and then these methods sort of dictate the terms, right? Something like set service, which so cupping uh, is designed in a way wherein there is a cupping server which gets service and endpoint resources from the Kubernetes API server, and then it triggers events on a cupping backend. So whenever there's a new service created, it would call this set service method. So cupping server would call this set service method, which would then eventually go and talk to the backend. So here the backend would do something like service update or service add. Similarly, there is something like delete service and then set endpoint and delete endpoint. So I won't go into like, the code walkthrough or whatever, but this is usually a good place to start. Every backend has something like set service, delete service, set endpoint, delete endpoint. And then you can use this as an entry point to that backend and then find your way through it. So just wanted
The
to.
interface seems
Cool.
similar to the existing Kube-Proxy. Even the current Kube-Proxy has stuff like this, if I can recall correctly.
True, but the current implementation of Kube-Proxy is in tree, whereas a backend comes with its own Go mod and its own dependencies, and the backend
Yeah.
can implement its own stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not running in one process. Any existing implementation of Kube-Proxy has everything running in one process. So
Yeah.
you will have Kubernetes business logic bits and the networking bits in the same process, wherein this is what cupping is trying to abstract at a node level, wherein a backend can do its own dumb thing, that is to implement the proxy and not care much about Kubernetes logic.
Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. And the interface for this sync and all of that stuff lies in yeah, this is where it lies. So this is the sync interface which every backend has to implement to make it work. So this is how a backend talks to its this is how the backend talks to the cupping server through the sync interface. So there's another shameless plug that I can do where we talked about this at Regex in Spain with so I think this is day 1 and day 2. So if you want to know about how to add a backend to KPNG, from the user space perspective, then there is video, which I think this starts at 10:30 or something of that mark. It's a huge stream, but you can go through this particular aspect. And then there is a cupping 101, which was done in KCD Bangalore. This was in 2022 as well. So I'll post a link to this after this call. So if you want to know about cupping 101, there is this video, and then if you want to know about how to add packets from user space perspective, then there is another thing. So these are like a couple of information bits that you can consume to know about cupping and things like that. So yeah, that was my shameless plug. All right, cool. So this is all I had. Is there anything anyone wants to discuss?
Nothing from my side. I think I'll try to get something done, and then maybe in the next meeting, it'll be more. I'll have something to, I don't know, show or something.
Awesome.
All good. Thanks for kind of walking through some stuff. I'll take a look at some of these unit test ones. I think that'll be, I won't be doing it today because I got some other stuff going on, but maybe closer to the weekend, I'll knock some of those out.
Cool. Thanks, Shane. All right. So I think this is it. Thanks, folks, for joining.
Thanks a lot for the walkthrough.
Cheers. Have a good week.
You do. See you
Bye-bye.
around. Bye.